Welcome to The Link, viewers. This is your segment in the news that enables you, discusses opportunity for you in terms of business. And tonight we're discussing trade, and in specific, border trade. And we're going to discuss something called simplified trade regime tonight, coming up in a moment. Welcome back. And my guest today is Paul Okech, who is the Senior Commercial Officer from the Ministry of Trade. Paul, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Sam, and good evening, viewers.
Paul, recently we have been reporting about Ministry of Trade, stories about border markets. There is a Lego and others. And these have to do with some animal or something called simplified trade regime. First of all, tell us, what is that?
Thank you, Sam. Now, a simplified trade regime is a mechanism put in place to allow informal cross-border traders to transfer their goods across borders. You know, when you're in a regional economic community, we don't say export. The word we use is transferring their goods.
Okay.
Now, under a simplified trade regime, there is a threshold that they are given, that is $2,000 US.
Okay.
So every informal cross-border trader is meant to, to transfer their goods up to $2,000 US.
Which would be $2,000 would be about 7 million? No,
about 7 million.
about 7
yes,
million.
About
okay.
7 million. Yes.
Continue.
Yes. And then you are talking about the STR. Now, in this instrument has certain specifics under it for people to understand. One of them is there is the COMESA part, and then there's the ESC part.
Yes.
Now, in the COMESA part, they have what we call a common list of goods traded across the border. Okay, that is one of the items that because the simplified trade regime is mainly for the informal cross-border traders who live around the border. So that common list is agreed among the countries.
Okay.
They sit down and then they agree. For COMESA now, we shall talk of DRC. We shall sit with DRC and agree on the common list of goods to trade across the borders. Two, there is what we call a simplified customs declaration document.
Okay.
So this document also under COMESA is used to identify who these informal traders are, what volumes are they transferring across the border, in order for us to have the records. You know, being informal, you don't know anything, but to inform our decision makers, to plan for them going forward, you need that information. Now,
in other words, when I'm at the border and I'm under this, I have to fill that form.
Definitely.
Okay, go on.
You'll have to. Now, for the ESC part, you will have what you call a simplified certificate of origin, an ESC simplified certificate of origin. So this is the document that is given to ESC traders, say in Busia, if they're crossing or Malaba, the informal cross-border traders, they use that instrument.
Okay.
Yes, and it helps them because it makes it easy for them to transfer their goods, and also the challenges that they face. For instance, harassment, some sort of bribes, and then, all those challenges are demystified through these documents. And you're aware, Sam, that in informal trade alone, 2017, Uganda exported a value of $550 million US.
Okay, half a billion.
That is half a billion. This is huge, just from people selling matoke, selling eggs, selling honey. You see, so we have to do a deliberate efforts to enhance this. And 60% of our trade is by SMEs. Okay, exports by SMEs, and these SMEs should be really supported in order for them to participate and contribute to our GDP.
Let's take it step by step. I'm listening to The Link, and I'm listening to you, Paul, and I'm in Kampala, and I want to benefit from this simplified trade regime. What do I do? Let's take me back step by step. What do I need to do?
You see, the simplified trade regime, as I said, was meant first for the local communities across the
around the border.
So we've recently, my honorable minister went and launched in Bunagana and Pondwe, launched what we call a cross-border trade association.
Yes.
So this cross-border trade association brings the business communities across the borders together.
Okay.
They bring them to sit down on a table and discuss their challenges and find solutions. So it is also open to people who are coming from out of the border towns.
Okay.
For instance, the Ministry of Trade is establishing what you call border markets or border export zones in those in the borders of Mpondwe, Bunagana and Goli.
Yeah.
Now these border export zones are going to be huge facilities which will house light industries, warehouses. They will have all these you know, all the infrastructure for value addition in order for us to enhance our exports. So traders can even come all the way from other parts of Uganda to participate, because we will need huge volumes to push across or to transfer across.
So for now, it seems like me who's living in Kampala, I may not be able to do that, or I can sell my products to those traders,
yes,
and they become middlemen and they continue because they're registered at the border. Is that correct?
Because it is not necessarily that you will be prevented, because as a ministry we are open to everybody. Okay. So using the right channels, you can come and be part of the facility when it starts. There will be requirements and procedures for other traders to join, because these will be huge facilities, and it will obviously be you can say owned by the cross-border people community, but the wider group can also come in, because the focus of the country is to reduce the trade deficit and push goods across the border. Okay, that's an opportunity that is present, but also is coming ahead. Yes. Now let's move to another issue here. Rules of origin. Yes. We know that traders under the EAC might be declared that you can, export to EAC duty-free or rather preferentially. And yet they reach the border and they have issues because of this thing called rules of origin. Yes. Paul, what are these rules of origin, and how does this thing work? Thank you. Now, rules of origin these are a set of rules that define. When you are in the EAC, we call it, I'm giving you an example of the EAC, we are in what we call a preferential market. True. So when you are trying to partake or to move your products or transfer your products in a preferential market, you have to prove that your products are wholly produced, yes, or grown in your country. Okay. Because that in the customs union, okay, that was started in 2005. One of the instruments was to have, for the goods to transfer, you needed to have a certificate of origin to identify that product is originating from Uganda.
For example, if I have a shirt,
yes,
I must prove that it is manufactured here.
Exactly. It's wholly produced here. Okay. Obviously, the rules will provide for something called like substantial transformation. Maybe if you have some good percentage of value addition that you have added from a raw material and you have transformed it to a finished product, that would also, there are mechanisms that within the rules that can qualify the product to originate from Uganda, okay, based on the thresholds and the percentages. So rules of origin really helps us in preferential market access. So if you're trying to export from, say, Uganda to the United Republic of Tanzania, you have to, when you reach the border, you have to show your certificate of origin to show that my product originates from Uganda.
Where do I get that from?
It is all, if you're say in Kampala here, you go to Uganda Revenue Authority. Okay. They are the authority that is mandated to.
So URA will ask me some questions, I believe, in order to give me these rules.
Definitely, but I wouldn't go into what URA will ask you. But by and large, a rule of, they have tried to make it as simple as possible, and the procedures to acquire it are so easy. So we always advise our exporters just to go there, pick that certificate of origin, and you can, you know, move your goods across the border. But the basic
things, Paul, here. That means I must be a registered business, correct?
Definitely, because if we have now moved away. We have divorced ourselves from informal.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you are trading, you have to have things like a TIN number. You have to have incorporated your company. You have to have an address. Okay. So these are, because you are going to pay tax. So you have to be you know, formal in order to access that
the certificate.
Yes.
Very good. So therefore people should check with URA for that issue to get registered, so that I don't get problems at the border. Now, can I export anything, even if I'm under the EAC or commercial? Just isn't there? Yes. Are there issues, limitations?
You see, in the common market, we have what we call free movement of goods and free movement of goods across the border.
As a principle.
As a principle. However, if you go to, we have laws as well, like for instance the Customs Management Act.
Yes.
If you go to Schedule 2, they will show you a list of restricted and prohibited items.
Okay.
And if I can recall, because I don't have the law here, on the restricted items, or rather the prohibited items, there are items like pornographic material, narcotic drugs. I think there are items like cosmetic products that contain mercury, used tires for light vehicles, things like that are prohibited. Yes, and then when you go to restricted items, you'll see items like ivory, animal rhino teeth, and I think many of those equipments. The list, yes, the lists are there and is a public document. So if you go to, also there is restricted exports where you'll see items like scrap metal, because we wanted to really use it to build our iron and steel industry.
So for a Ugandan, you cannot export scrap metal.
No, it is restricted. You will always, you'll find some. There are stringent measures. In fact, you cannot export. You cannot export scrap metal because we want to use it here locally.
Okay, that list can be checked out. Paul, time is running out on us. Quickly, there's something they call a sensitive list.
Yes.
Of imports. I know it's long, but try to break it down for us in about a couple of minutes.
Yes, thank you. Let me be fast, because a sensitive list, we are now going to talk about the common external tariff.
Yes.
Okay, and a common external tariff is one of the instruments in a customs union.
Okay.
When you are in a customs union, you will receive any import, when you're trading with parties outside the customs union, there is a common duty. Okay, there is a common duty you receive, sort of like a tax. Okay,
so those goods coming
inside the customs that are approaching the EAC, they will receive a tax. Okay. Now, in those that common external tariff, we have currently actually is under review. We are under a comprehensive review of the common external tariff, and it will come alive next year in 2019, about June before the financial year.
Okay.
Now, in that common external tariff, there is a 3-band structure. The current one, we have 0% for raw materials, 10% for intermediate goods, and 25% for finished products.
Okay.
Now, the sensitive list you're talking about are those products. I think there are about 62 tariff lines that are above the 25%. Okay, the tariffs are above. For instance, we have products like sugar at 100% or $250 US per metric ton, rice 75%. Or $345 per metric ton. We have milk. We have matches, the chibiritis.
Yes.
We have kanga. Okay, chitenge. We have cement. Yes. So those are the part of the products that form the sensitive list. And one of the reasons for a sensitive list was meant to build productive capacity for those for those industries to contribute to GDP, to contribute to employment, and many other issues. However, that, as I said, there's a comprehensive review taking place, and then we don't know, maybe next year we shall have a wider structure, like maybe 4-band or a 5-band tariff structure.
A narrow one.
Oh, a narrow one. Yes. Okay,
I know, Paul, I know the list is long, and we're counting down now to our time.
Yeah.
It's interesting. and this is the final submission from me. It's interesting that sugar and rice,
yes,
while they are taxed heavily, people still import them, and they're still more competitive here. But that's a story for another day.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you.
And
Thank
viewers, we were fleshing down a few issues back to back concerning trade. But don't forget, simplified trade regime, where you can export to neighboring countries in a simplified fashion. Thank you very much for joining us on The Link tonight, and continue watching The Link for opportunities.
Newsbite is brought to you by
Safe Drive Uganda, improving